AI is taking over every medium right now. Games will use AI to create interactive NPCs, playlists will consist of AI covers, and for us anime fans, well, what if I told you your favorite show is already using AI? And is that a good thing? This is the plan for today. Let's start with looking at how AI is used today in anime production. Then let's move on to what this means for the future of anime, and finally what impact this has on localization and why people are okay with it. That's right, we're getting a bit spicy today. So let's start with how AI is used today. Well, we've probably all seen that god-awful rock, paper, scissors, or well, crossblades as they call it anime, by Corridor. And whether you like it for the silly fun thing it is, or hate it for its quality, it's still an excellent example of rotoscoping. Rotoscoping, for those of you unaware, is the process of generating images from pre-existing footage. Maybe you've seen those anime girls dancing on your feed. Well, those are a replacement of an actual girl dancing using rotoscoping and AI. Apart from that, a lot of editing tools today use AI to try and assist you in different ways, like by auto-selecting areas or trying to follow objects through moving pictures, which is very handy if you want to use a green screen effect for an example. The other major way that AI is starting to be used today is translation. Now, translating from Japanese to English is a bit tricky because the grammar structure is different. If I were to quickly introduce myself, I would say something like Kaiju Tuna desu, which translates to I'm Kaiju Tuna. Note how the desu, that in this case becomes I'm, is after my name in the Japanese version. However, if I was to tell you I'm a YouTuber, I would instead say Watashi wa YouTuber desu. Notice how the grammar is a bit off because now we have words both before and after YouTuber, and we haven't even touched on the fact that Japanese is a contextual language, meaning for an example desu could be referring to me or someone else depending on the context. Not to mention cultural references and the sort having to be translated. But we are getting ahead of ourselves. This is localization talk after all, and we are saving the spicy part for last. So before we get there, let's talk about the future. Or well, before we continue, I need to address something. Since a lot of the future is more actual visual work than editing assistance, I feel like I have to address the moral discussion here about how AI is being trained on others' art without their permission, with the end goal of taking their job. Personally, I think AI should be trained more responsibly, and if I'm allowed to theory craft quickly, I wish there was some type of site where artists could be paid for uploading their work while consent with it being used for AI. With that said, I have used AI in the past for my own YouTube channel, so maybe I'm a bit hypocritical there, but I will promise you this. If I start earning money on this channel, one of the first things I will do is to hire an actual artist to replace all AI content. I don't want to bore you with an ad, so let's just say if you want to help me with that, you can use the links below to support me or share the video with a friend for free. Anyways, I digress. This video is not really an argumentative video about AI as much as it is an exploration of the possibilities of it. I just felt I had to give it a quick mention. So with that said, let's continue. And I believe there are great tools coming for animators, and to be quite honest, some of these already exist, just not on a professional level yet. And everything is about saving time, of course. One of the most realistic changes coming soon is things like concept art being done with a few prompts, and AI is probably pretty soon at the point where it can fill in ink and colors without any major issues. Rotoscoping is already a game changer, as we have seen in, for an example, Chainsaw Man, an anime that would have been infinitely more time consuming to make without it. And when it comes to the rock, paper, scissors anime, the biggest issue isn't how the characters look, but the simple fact that it's not consistent. It struggles keeping the characters' appearances the same, even changing hair colors, facial features, and even clothes. But the appearances don't look too bad most of the time, and even if you don't like the rock, paper, scissors anime, you can still see countless examples of this with the AI dancing girls. In the long run, it's not unreasonable to think that this type of AI generation could be industry standard. But that's a long way down the line. In the near future, I think similar techniques could also be used to generate new frames, and it could be incorporated into the workflow. Let's, for an example, say that an animator usually does 24 frames per second. In theory, the animator could instead do 12 or even less, then spread those frames out over the second and use AI to fill the gaps, instead of using the same frames 2 to 3 times. My only concern about saving time is that, just like what I talked about in my video about CGI, the time saved with these tools won't be used to save the animators, but instead to push out more animation, and that, just like with CGI, the quality will suffer. Speaking of, another big fear about using AI is its current limitations. In fact, calling it AI might even be a lie. You see, AI has become this big buzzword, and trust me when I say that's not to critique how amazing it is. I mean, I use it almost every day at my day job as an IT technician, but what we call AI today is actually just complex algorithms with predetermined values. And I'm not trying to be a besserwisser here either. The reason I'm mentioning it is because it comes with a limitation, since the way AI is trained is by producing results and then comparing it with effectively an answer sheet. It lacks the fundamental ability of an artist, making something new. AI is locked into pre-existing ideas and pre-existing art styles. My biggest fear with AI used in art is that we will find ourselves in a situation where the vast majority of the industry won't be filled by amazing art and art styles like it is today, but instead with AI generated slop. However, we can only hope that's not gonna be the case. Speaking of slop though, it's time for the final question. What will the future hold for localization? And localization, in case you don't know, is the process of translating something. However, it's not always a one-to-one translation, and quite frankly, unlike the strawman being presented for some of us who prefer a more purist approach, we don't want that either. At least I don't. I understand that there is a necessity for a translation that is only 95% correct, because as charming as the old fan subs were, I personally don't think a lot of people want to go back to the days where you could have an essay every 30 seconds at the bottom of the screen, just because a word only had a translation that was 95% accurate in English. And honestly, I think most people would have preferred human localizers for a long time to come, considering how awkward AI translation can get, if not for one aspect. You see, this 5% difference has allowed bad faith actors to come in and change more to the point where scenes and characters are literally unrecognizable. And I know what you're thinking right now, because I thought the exact same way when I first heard of this. It can't be that bad, can it? Oh, you must be exaggerating with how often it happens. And while I could tell you of all the countless examples, I think a better idea is just to show you.
How would you like to respond to that kind of criticism?
To the criticism, like, I have a vagina, deal with it.
So, yeah, as you saw yourself, we're not talking about one or two cases. The industry is full of bad actors who are inserting their own politics, jokes, and ideas into games, anime, and manga. Now, people defend this by saying that they're just adding more character to the characters, but I would like to disagree with that for two reasons. One is, of course, that they want to get the original experience intended by the author and not anything else, even if it was better, which, speaking of, by using the simple logic that sometimes less is more, that is not even the case. Strangely enough, sometimes saying fewer words and not throwing in silly words like dummies or obscure meme references that will be irrelevant in a few years helps the character. Strange, right? And if you don't believe me or think my opinion as a small YouTuber is irrelevant, what if I told you that George R.R. Martin agrees with me? At least a certain degree, because he wrote a blog post about it a couple of years ago, and he said the following: "No matter how major a writer is, no matter how great the book, there always seems to be someone on hand who thinks he can do better, eager to take the story and improve on it. The book is the book, the film is the film, they will tell you," as if they were saying something profound. Then they make the story their own, they never make it better though. 999 times out of 1,000 they make it worse. The point is, I really think it adds validity to my claims when one of the biggest authors of our time agrees that there are problems in translating media between different audiences. And let's just say I haven't even touched the part where localizers admit to changing stuff on purpose because they don't like it, or even admitting to not knowing Japanese. Yeah, I'm not making that up, and it would explain some translations. Now, of course, not everyone is a bad actor, and it's a shame that great localizers with a passion for what they're doing risk losing their job, but the widespread amount of bad faith actors makes me compliant to the idea of using AI, and I can only hope that a new role for controlling the translations will be made from this, which quite honestly is a necessity at least in the beginning, and that these great localizers get them. It's sad that the rabbit hole for bad actors is so deep it could be its own video, because ultimately I don't like the idea of anyone losing their livelihood, or well, if you're purposely not doing your job, maybe you've lost my empathy. Those who haven't lost my empathy are animators though, which you can find out more about in my Why CGI is a Necessary Evil video. With that said, take care, bye!